Hello, everybody, and welcome to class number 10 of the Hands-on Optimization Masterclass. This is a class in which we learn how to build supply chain solvers. And in the first episodes, we talked about production optimization. We also discussed about shelf life, how to model targets, lot size, and campaign planning. So it's a full MPS plus DRP solver. So yeah, the DRP part we covered by modeling transfers, and on the top, lot size, campaign planning, and shelf life. And in the last lesson, we talk a bit general about network optimization, network design, and we discussed a little bit about the business process that those solvers are supporting. And today we're going to go into the technical. What are the essential constraints of the network optimization? And Felipe Brandão from AMPL, he's here with us as well. He created the app. And then for production optimization, we had Homeworks 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he added the new solver, the network optimization, and also Homeworks 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are going to show you the app and everything that changed. So let's start. As I said, this is the agenda. We are going to go technically into the network optimization constraints. We are going to validate results and then show you the comparison, what happens in the production optimization solver, what happens in the network optimization solver for the homework 1 and homework 4. And then we also added the multi-objectives. So you can decide in which order to optimize, because as you know, in companies, sometimes the focus is on optimizing production costs and increasing operational efficiency. Sometimes the focus is on reducing the transportation costs, and you can have also, let's say, inventory costs, like many companies want to reduce their inventory. So then you optimize for the inventory costs. So with this multi-objectives, you can mix and match your objectives as a company and see which one fits better. Let's start. What changes between the production and network solver? So essentially what changes is the granularity of the demand. So the demand is an input, and in the production optimization solver, it's on product location. So the location is given. You know which customers are assigned to which DC. This allocation is made before you start the solver. There are some business processes in each company in which they do the allocation. What does it mean, allocation? You allocate demand on a certain location as a DC. And then that DC triggers requests at the plants, right? The STRs and STOs. And in the network optimization, where we want to optimize end-to-end, we move, or the demand actually stays on the customer. So you don't do the allocation, because the allocation, as I said, sometimes is a process in a company, and it's manual, it takes time. You can use a network optimization solver to decide how to allocate the demand. So basically you tell the solver, this is my customer, this is the lanes that are open to the DCs we have in the network, and you let the solver decide from which DC to ship. And if you didn't watch the previous episode, go there, because I explained again the difference between the production optimization solver and the network optimization solver, and how the solver does this allocation. So the other thing that changes because of the demand is we have a shipment, not because of the demand, or okay, as a consequence. So now we also have a shipments variable, right? Because we also need, the solver needs to decide from where to ship, from which DC serves which customer. And this is the shipments variables. So it's on product, location, customer, period. So from a location of the company to the customer. And then the biggest change, let's say, is the fact that now we don't talk about met demand anymore, but we talk about the sum of the shipments over the location, because they need to align the granularity. The met demand as well now is on product customer. So then this term needs to be also on product customer. So then that's why we need to sum over the location. So let's continue this. So this is the demand balance, which is normally demand equals unmet demand plus met demand. And now the met demand looks different. It's the sum of shipments. And then this is essentially what changes. The granularity of the demand, it goes from product location to product customer. And then we have an extra variable, shipments, which links with the met demand through the sum. So this means that the material balance changes. Here I took a very short version of the material balance. So we know also already from episode 1 that ending inventory equals starting inventory plus production minus met demand. And now instead of met demand, we write shipments. Or as Felipe did in the app, he renamed this. So the sum of the shipments is shipments out. But you see here the sum is different. Now it's the sum over the customers because this equation has the granularity product location. So ending inventory is product location, starting inventory is product location, same with production. So then now this term needs to be on product location. So you need to sum over the customer. So this is the only change. Everything else stayed the same. The transfer equations, the production, the capacity, the targets, nothing changes. Only the fact that we add the shipments, which makes sense that we need a decision variable to decide from where to ship. And then the shipment connects with the met demand, which you already had in the production solver. So if you want to practice this and you haven't watched the other episodes, go and watch it because as you see, it just builds up on that and you make some very little changes. And another comment I have here is that the objective in theory stays the same as the penalty is on the unmet demand. So nothing changes with the unmet demand. So if you had your solver with a penalty on unmet demand, this stays the same, but again, you need to pay attention to the granularity because unmet demand now is on product customer. So you need to align your penalties having this in mind. You can make it on sum of customers or you can make other variations. But the idea is that it's not much change here. So I think this is it. If Felipe, you want to share, and let's go and look in the app, see how all those changes I explained are reflected in the solver.
This is the app, exactly the app that we had initially for homework 1, production optimization. And what we have now is that we have the option to switch to network optimization, where we also have all the same homeworks implemented, so that you can see that really the changes are minimal and everything else stays the same, and you can even redo the homeworks with the new variant. So in homework 1, we have demand balance that was just demand equal met demand plus unmet demand. But now, and here is in product locations, but now the demand is not in locations, is in customers, and we have shipments. So let's see what changed in the network version. So here we have the network optimization version of homework 1. One thing that I think is important to highlight here is that here we talked about restrict tables. We had just one. The size of the problem now is exploding. And we have a lot of opportunities for restrict tables. Because for instance, if we look at shipments, and let me disable the restrict table here. The shipments are now indexed over products, locations, customers, and periods. And you can easily see that once you have thousands of products, hundreds of locations, thousands of customers, and many time periods, this explodes in size. So really using restrict tables everywhere, that's what we use here, is really good to reduce significantly the size of the model so that you don't end up with massive models with billions of variables when it's not needed. So other than this big change and the fact that we're introducing shipments, what really changed in terms of demand balance? Exactly the same. Demand is equal to met demand plus unmet demand, but with the slight difference that now demand is not indexed over locations, is indexed over customers. And here I have met demand, but in fact, met demand is a variable that is equal to this sum. So the sum across for all locations that can ship products to each customer, we are summing the shipments. So that's what becomes net demand. And net demand is exactly the same as it was before. And this is in demand balance. Let's go back to homework 1 to show the material balance, which was just starting inventory plus production minus net demand equal in the inventory. What we have here, starting inventory plus production minus, instead of met demand, because now we are not meeting demand in the locations, minus shipments out equal ending inventory. And shipments out is essentially the sum of all shipments that leave a certain location to all customers. And that's it. And other than these two small changes, now we have the shipments variable and we have another objective, because here we are minimizing the production cost, but now we also have the shipment cost. We could eventually try to combine these, like combining different KPIs in same objective using like different weights and so on. But it can get quite tricky to come up with many weights when you start having many different KPIs. So hierarchical multi-objectives are a powerful way to handle them in a very strict way. So here we want to first optimize production to the limit, and then we want to optimize the shipment costs afterwards. And in terms of results, just to show that it also remains very similar. Here in the data, in the production optimization data that we are using, we are essentially using the demand from each customer. We are assigning it to the closest location. So in terms of the amounts, is very similar, but there is just one slight difference, is that each customer is locked to receiving items from a single location and not multiple locations. So in terms of production, pretty much the same, nothing really changes here. But if we go down to material balance, one thing that we can see is that here we are ending with ending inventory at 55 units. This is essentially inventory that is in a certain location that no customer is getting it from, so it is stuck there. One slight difference here is, since we are introducing additional flexibility, is that we are able to reduce that ending inventory. But of course, on a more complex example, the impact is going to be significantly bigger than this, but it's just to show that even in this small example, just the additional flexibility of receiving from multiple locations can change things. And here you can see in the network graph, you can see the production facilities, and you can see the customers, and you can see that bulk receives, in fact, from the market and from factory too. In this case, it can receive from the two locations. While in this other app, it was being forced to just receive from one of them. That's why it is slightly different. This is homework 1, and I think I already covered everything here. So now let's look at homework 4. Homework 4 already has everything. It has demand balance, inventory carryover, material balance, transfers, target stocks, all of that. So as complicated as it can get. This is the original version from the production optimization app. Here again, we had just one restrict table. And let's see network version. Network version, we have all these restrict tables that we are really using everywhere. And the changes exactly the same. There is absolutely nothing different from what we had in the other app. Demand balance is exactly the same. Now one customer, met demand is equal to this sum. And met demand is exactly the same as it was originally. And material balance, that here is called transfer because it's material balance with transfers. Before, just to show how it was before material balance had met demand here because we are meeting the demand in each location. Now, instead of having meet demand, we have shipments out. So exactly the same as in homework 1, nothing changed, and everything around
So the logic doesn't change. What changes is the granularity and the fact that we have an extra variable. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
what we were trying to say, that the logic is the same. So you need to watch the first episodes to, to understand
Yeah,
the logic.
yeah. To understand the rest of the app, it's necessary to watch the production optimization episode because everything else here is explained there.
Yeah.
Here we are just showing what really changed. And again, we have the hierarchical multi-objectives, optimize production, and then optimize shipment. And here you have flexibility. For instance, even this objective here, where we are using penalties for different, like soft penalties on many variables, we could also use the hierarchical multi-objective for multiple of them. For instance, we could even have an objective just to minimize unmet demand up front, and then optimize everything else using penalties and many other options. So then it's up to you to decide what is more important to you and how to balance the different KPIs.
Yeah, and here you can also, for example, have one of the objectives that it's unit optimization and the other one is cost optimization. Or you can have, because, yeah, but I think this, or you can, as Philippa said, you can separate the ending inventory or the inventory objective and then put costs there. If inventory reduction is your goal.
Yeah, so this gives a lot of flexibility to then decide what really to target, because the logic of the system is the same, then it's just changing exactly what is the optimum for you. And in terms of results, let's go down here just to show that, considering that the data is very similar, the only difference is the assignment of each customer to closest location in the production optimization app. And met demand very similar, to a slightly different here. Balance. And here we can see the network graph. So we can see restaurant receiving from these two locations, supermarket receiving here. And here you can also see in each time period, the shipments are going to change. So this is not locked. So depending on the data for each time period, it is going to be different. And here you can also see there is not just shipments, because it is in this last app there are already transfers between locations. So here you can see the transfers between the locations. And just, yeah, and here in terms of like production capacity, like resource utilization, pretty much the same. And just one detail in terms of objective, just to show here, just to again to talk about the fact that we are introducing a little bit more flexibility by allowing different locations. This was the optimum in production optimization when we are assigning to closest location. The optimum, in fact, is a little better. Now, once we allow the customers from receiving from different locations. So that is one thing that improves, because in here you will need transfers, while in the other option you just allow the customer to receive the items from the different location if needed, avoiding the transfers in that case. Yeah, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Felipe. It looks great. I hope you're going to go into the app and use it, learn how to build the solvers. So this is it from today. For next time, we are going to focus on the bomb explosion and which is connected with the MRP process. So this is sometimes people are not aware that you can do this MRP in the optimization, because sometimes the companies buy a planning tool, they do the planning there, and then they have the MRP process in SAP. Whereas here you can already do a part or everything in the planning tool or in the optimization, and you don't need to use two tools. Some companies still do that. They do the planning and optimization, and then they also do the MRP, the bomb explosion, but then they send it to SAP, and the SAP generates the purchase orders, because this is also part of the process. So but sometimes some planning tools offer this option that they can already create the purchase orders, and yeah, so it depends. But this is what we want to show you, that you can do the bomb explosion basically in using optimization, and then up to you how you communicate with the suppliers via the planning tool or SAP. So this is it from today. Thank you very much for watching. Any feedback, any questions, more than welcome, and we will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.